For centuries, Scotland has wrestled with its identity, caught between a fierce sense of nationhood and the larger political union with England. This struggle has unfolded in epic battles, revolutionary speeches, and modern political campaigns. The story begins in the Middle Ages with the Wars of Scottish Independence, where figures like William Wallace and Robert the Bruce rose as defenders of Scottish sovereignty. The Declaration of Arbroath in 1320, a plea to the Pope, asserted Scotland's right to self-determination, becoming one of the earliest declarations of independence in European history. Despite these early victories, the unification of crowns in 1603, followed by the Act of Union in 1707, tied Scotland to England in a single kingdom, Great Britain. While this brought economic and military benefits, many Scots resisted. The loss of parliamentary autonomy and perceived cultural erasure fueled uprisings, including the Jacobite rebellions. Throughout the 18th and 19th centuries, however, a wave of cultural revival emerged. Romantic nationalism, fueled by figures like Sir Walter Scott, helped reinvent Scottish identity. This was a period of myth-making and cultural pride, when kilts, tartans, and Highland traditions were revived as symbols of nationhood. Meanwhile, Scottish thinkers led the Enlightenment, proving that cultural vitality endured even within the Union. The 20th century saw the political side of nationalism begin to stir. The Scottish National Party was founded in the 1930s, though it remained a fringe movement for decades. By the 1970s, economic pressures, especially around North Sea oil, reignited debates about autonomy. A 1979 devolution referendum failed due to a voter turnout requirement, but it laid the groundwork for future change. That change came in 1997 when a second referendum passed with overwhelming support. In 1999, Scotland's modern parliament was established at Holyrood, granting the nation control over critical areas like education, health, and justice. Membership in the European Union gave Scotland a dual identity, Scottish and European, which many embraced. The momentum culminated in the 2014 independence referendum, driven by economic uncertainty, national pride, and the appeal of full sovereignty. Led by First Minister Alex Salmond and supported by Nicola Sturgeon, the Yes campaign faced off against the Unionist, Better Together effort backed by Westminster leaders. Though 55% of voters chose to remain in the UK, the narrow margin proved that the dream of independence was far from dead. Just 2 years later, Brexit changed the landscape. Scotland had voted overwhelmingly to remain in the EU, but the UK as a whole voted to leave. This deepened political divisions and gave renewed energy to the independence movement, with Nicola Sturgeon advocating for a second referendum, a push that has faced ongoing legal and constitutional challenges from London.as. The debate over Scottish independence persists. The nation finds itself at a crucial juncture, a moment defined by both historical legacy and future uncertainty. Public opinion on the matter is far from settled. While some Scots view independence as a natural and necessary evolution of self-determination, others are wary of the potential risks. This division often falls along generational lines. Younger Scots, having grown up under devolution and with a strong pro-European outlook, tend to favor independence more than older generations, who may associate the Union with economic stability and shared history. The global context has also shifted dramatically in recent years. Events such as Brexit, the COVID-19 pandemic, and geopolitical instability have altered how people perceive sovereignty and governance. Brexit, in particular, reignited the independence debate, as Scotland overwhelmingly voted to remain in the European Union while the UK as a whole voted to leave. This divergence highlighted a recurring theme in Scottish politics, that Scotland's democratic choices are often overruled by larger UK-wide outcomes. However, independence is not a simple fix. It raises a series of complex and unresolved questions. One of the most critical is the issue of currency. Would Scotland continue to use the British pound? Would it create a new currency? Or aim to join the euro eventually through EU membership? Each option carries significant economic implications, from investor confidence to inflation control and monetary policy. Borders also pose a serious challenge. If Scotland were to become independent and rejoin the EU, a customs border might need to be established between Scotland and the rest of the UK, its largest trading partner. This would affect the free flow of goods, services, and people. Trade relationships would need to be renegotiated from scratch, and there would likely be a period of economic transition and uncertainty, potentially lasting years. Another concern is whether an independent Scotland could rejoin the European Union, and on what terms. EU accession requires meeting specific economic and legal standards, and some member states may be cautious about encouraging regional secession movements. Additionally, Scotland would need to rebuild many of its national institutions, such as foreign embassies, central financial systems, and a defense force. While navigating complex negotiations over assets, debts, and shared infrastructure with the UK, despite these hurdles, the emotional and cultural pull of independence remains strong. Many Scots see it as more than a political goal, they see it as a moral cause. For them, independence represents a chance to build a more progressive society, one that aligns with Scottish values on social welfare, climate action, immigration, and internationalism. There is also a deep sense of cultural preservation involved, the idea that Scotland's distinct identity, language, traditions, and institutions should be protected and empowered through full sovereignty. Ultimately, the debate is not just about economics or legal frameworks. It is about agency, who gets to decide Scotland's future, and on what terms. As the United Kingdom continues to grapple with internal divisions and a shifting role on the world stage, Scotland must reckon with its past and make decisions that will shape its identity for generations to come. Whether that future lies within the UK, as a federal entity, or as an independent nation, remains one of the most defining questions in modern British history.